Hello, this is Deborah with Black Education TV, and I'm going to be discussing a story coming out of Tennessee this morning where lawmakers are yet again targeting black salon professionals. I'm going to read the article and then I'll get into what I'm going to discuss about this. It says lawmakers in Tennessee are making it difficult for black salon professionals to make money braiding hair by slapping harsh fines on their businesses if they hire unlicensed braiders, according to Forbes. That's a problem for braiders like Fatu Diouf, a small braiding business owner who is suffering because of a stifling $16,000 in fines she's been ordered to pay. One of her hair braiders reportedly did not have a government license to braid hair in her shop, and that runs afoul of the Tennessee Board of Cosmetology and Barber Examiners policy. As a result, Diouf, the fine was levied against her as a disciplinary action. So far, nearly $100,000 in fines were issued to more than 30 different natural hair shops and salons since 2009 in the state for unlicensed braiders, according to Forbes. Diouf, who is making good use of a skill she said that she learned as a child, believes that exorbitant fees levied against her are putting a strain on her livelihood. The board is also issuing penalties for unlicensed braiding shops and braiders who work out of their home. A part of a culture. Anyone interested in braiding hair professionally is required to take 300 hours of classes for performing natural hair care services like braiding, locking hair, twisting, wrapping, and weaving. But Diouf says, we don't need 300 hours to know how to wash a clip or a comb. The hair braiding business is dominated by African and African American women, and taking classes means they would have to sacrifice financially for 2 months and attend classes. The courses run from $5,000 to $15,000 for tuition, and only 3 schools in the whole state offer courses. Most of the civil penalties are $1,000. While most braiders across the country can work without a license, Diouf is left fighting for her right to eliminate the state license requirement. She is working with the Institute of Justice and the Beacon Center and has testified in favor of a bill that would eliminate the state's license for natural hairstylists and fines levied against them. A Utah woman sues, back in 2012, a Utah woman who braids hair to supplement her family's income won a federal lawsuit against the state over its licensing process for her craft, arguing state regulations violated her right to earn a living. A federal judge ruled that states' requirements that Justina Clayton get a cosmetology license to braid hair was unconstitutional and invalid because regulations are irrelevant to Clayton's profession. Clayton, 30, sued after she found it was illegal to run a hair braiding business without a license, in part because of public health and safety concerns. Clayton said she learned how to braid hair as a 5-year-old in her West African home country of Sierra Leone, and she was doing it at her suburban Salt Lake City home to support her 3 children, ages 7, 5, and 1, while her husband finishes school. I'm excited. I can't believe it, Clayton said of the ruling. You go in with the hope, but sometimes things don't go your way. Now, there's a whole lot that could be said about this because since I can remember, our lives as so-called black people in this country have been criminalized. The way we dress, the way we wear our hair, the way we do all kinds of things is criminalized. And to put such harsh fines on something so small, I mean, you can be a drunk driver and kill somebody and don't get this kind of penalty or fine. You see, I talked years ago how my husband's little brother, this was before he was born. This was a child that was born before him. But I'm sorry, so it wasn't his little brother, but one of the bank's babies was hit by a drunk driver. And in the city of Detroit, they said, oh, because he was drunk, there's nothing we can do about it. So he literally got a slap on the wrist for taking someone's life, taking a child's life. But yet these women who braid hair for a living, who earn money to take care of their families, who learn this in many cases while living in Africa. And some of us learned from our own families from the time we were very young how to braid hair. And so now you have these laws that are coming forth telling you it's against the law to even do it in your own home and earn money. And so this to me is yet again a good example, a great example of how unfair this country is to so-called black people. Now, those of us who know the truth, we know what's up. We know that the scripture talked about how we would be treated in the land of our captivity. We knew that these things would take place because this is what the Bible tells us. But when we talk about these things, we're just trying to shine light on this subject for our people who don't know that the scripture talks about how our enemies, a certain enemy, would have a perpetual hatred for us, that our businesses would be targeted, our old women, old men, young men, how they would just make life very difficult for us. The Bible talks about this. And this is just a great example of what we are seeing when they are putting such levies against our livelihood and causing women to have to take 300 hours of classes, in which the classes are only offered in 3 locations in the whole state, and it costs anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. That is ridiculous. To even have to spend a few $100s for a class is ridiculous. And my thing is this: who are the teachers offering these courses? Even if it is so-called black teachers offering the courses, why is this even necessary for our people to take such a class to learn how to braid hair, to make a living? This is utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. And yet again, another slap on the face, another kick in the teeth to our ability as a people to earn a living with a craft that we brought here from Africa. And it's just, again, so much could be said about this. A lot of what you feel when you hear stories like this is just, you feel frustrated, you feel disgust, and you feel helpless in some cases because, number one, they have these fines over their heads. And you have people always saying, well, black people are lazy. They don't want to work. They don't want to do this, that, and the other. But when they create a way to provide an income for their family, something like this happens. This is utterly ridiculous that this state is doing something so harsh to a craft such as this. Braiding hair, locking hair, twisting hair. Ridiculous. And you will have those who will say, well, what are these black people complaining about now? Just follow the laws. Now, what if there was a law against having straight hair? This is how ridiculous it sounds to us to say that we have to, first of all, you have some places of employment who say you can't even work there if your hair is braided or locked. So what they're basically telling us to do is that you have to look like us by perming your hair with chemicals that we create to straighten your hair. You can't come to work unless you look like us. If you have natural hair, it goes against our policy. So they make policies against our hair, and then they levy fines against our hair so that we can't look cultural at all. Therefore, wanting to make everyone in the likeness and image of them. Amazing, utterly amazing that this kind of thing is justified in this country. Now, thankfully, in Utah, the lawmakers there saw things different and they found in favor of the woman. I'm glad to hear that. But at the same time, I look at people who live in areas, they've created a life in this state, in the state of Tennessee. And now that is being interfered with by bogus, harsh laws. I think it's ridiculous, family. But anyway, you could check out the story. It was a story that was on AOL. Ridiculous. None of us are shocked or surprised because these kind of things surface from time to time, but we are still just highly bothered by them. And as I stated before, those of our people who don't know what is going on and the real reason why these things happen, I like to inform them. I like to let them know that there is a reason why these things happen, and the reason being that we are in the land of our captivity. We are the people of the book, the people of the Bible. And this is one of the curses that were placed upon us, being in a land among people that would hate us and do these kinds of things to us. You have to understand that there is a reason greater than just, oh, they're just being unfair to blacks. Why? There is a reason why. And if you look within the pages of the Bible, you will see that this was prophesied, and this is nothing more than a fulfillment of prophecy. And with that, I will say shalom.